So in lesson number 2, we'll just take a quick look at WUND management. In this lesson, we actually define what WUND management is. We'll take a look at Cisco Prime infrastructure, how that is utilized. I would guess, I don't know if you guys are, Mike or Tiju, you can send a chat message if you like. Are you guys using Cisco Prime at all in your environment? You would know if you were. It's a separate, completely separate management tool. But a lot of customers use it, but I would say equally as much, a lot of customers don't use it. They manage everything through the controller, or they kind of manage their infrastructure separately. Cisco used to have a platform called Cisco Works, which was essentially just a network management station, right? An NMS. But it was very much an NMS. It didn't have as much on the provisioning side as it had on the management side. Prime infrastructure allows many other aspects of management, troubleshooting, integration, and so on. So what we're going to talk about in this lesson is the 2 approaches to managing your unified access network. And we'll talk about, of course, enterprise management and cloud management. We'll talk about the different management techniques, and we'll take a look at the Meraki dashboard and what function that provides in this WUND management approach as well. So like I said, unified access has 2 approaches, or 2 major deployment models. Enterprise with 4 deployment models, kind of 4 deployment submodels, and cloud managed. We choose one or the other, of course, based on what we deploy in our network, and also based on what kind of staff augmentation we have and so on to manage this environment. All right, so we'll take a look at enterprise based on Prime infrastructure, and then we'll take a quick look at the Meraki component. If you aren't using Prime infrastructure, if you haven't used Prime infrastructure, this is at least kind of an introduction to that tool, at the very least. Now, Prime infrastructure comes in many different flavors. Or I should say Cisco Prime comes in many different flavors. Prime infrastructure is, as its name implies, used to manage your infrastructure, but they have Prime collaboration to manage voice environments as well. There is a single pane of management, right? A single interface, a unified platform. We can do day 0, day 1 provisioning, and all kinds of assurance monitoring and assurance provisioning as well. Very simplified deployment of things like, and these are all built in, almost like wizards or like templates and whatnot for deploying technologies like IWAN, advanced AVC stuff for firewalls, zone-based firewalls, TrustSec, identity-based networking services, and so on, IBNS and so on. Provides a management aspect, right? Application visibility, which includes NetFlow, NBAR. NBAR is network-based application recognition, MediaNet, SNMP, all kinds of tools. It also provides mobile collaboration. So if you have Wi-Fi clients with Cisco MSE, Clean Air integration, RF prediction tools, ICE integration for mobility and so on. Provides management across both the network plane and the compute plane. Discovery, inventory, configuration, monitoring, troubleshooting, reporting, administration, again through a single interface. What else does it provide? Oh, of course, it provides IPv6 support. It has an operations center, so we have a centralized manager, kind of a visualizer for the network environment, and that provides a good level of visibility of your network across multiple Prime infrastructure servers if you do have multiple Prime infrastructure servers. All right, so I guess in a nutshell, it does a lot of stuff, right? And there's actually separate courses just on this platform. So our goal here is not to really learn how to implement this tool, but at least to give you some exposure that the tool exists, and if you are exposed to it, at least you have some idea, what it's about, at least a little bit. So how can I use this to support the life cycle of my wireless infrastructure? Well, it implements lots and lots of different tools, discovery protocols that allow us to discover devices in the network. It's got ping tools built into it. It runs CDP, the link layer discovery protocol. It supports the ability to discover things like ARP and BGP and OSPF traffic in the network. It creates network topology maps that display icons that represent the network devices. So you get your inventory and the interconnections that are used to connect those. Those maps can also show alarms to indicate alarm states for particular links or particular devices. Monitoring policies that are built in can help you get kind of a quick start in monitoring the network devices and infrastructure, kind of like these canned approaches to monitoring your network infrastructure. And you simply just turn on or turn off these policies by applying these workflows. And then what can happen is you can push out changes to devices without disrupting service, and everything is kind of automated. It has customizable and predefined Cisco best practice and what Cisco calls validated design configuration templates, so that when you're deploying switches and you're deploying routers and you're deploying access points and controllers and whatnot, these templates exist so that you can push out these best practice configuration standards. You can still customize those configurations, but at least you have a base point to start from, right? Flexible plug and play functionality, integration with Cisco ICE, Cisco ACS, integration with MSE, the Mobility Services Engine for location-based tracking services if you're doing location services. I'm not sure that we'll get into that in too much detail here. Integrated workflows and tools so that IT administrators can access information about service disruptions, receive notices, notifications on performance degradation, so that you can go back and research those issues and then kind of come up with resolutions and remediate the problems. All right. Now, this is an example of one of those components that exists in Prime infrastructure, which is what we call site profiles and maps. You can see how this could be very, very useful, right? This is integrated with clean air access, and we can identify interferers in the network, whether they're rogue APs or they're non-802.11 interferers and so on. So we don't get into the details of this maps here, but the maps can be created based on floor plans. You can upload your floor plans. You can see and it's almost like Google Maps, where you can kind of get a campus view, and then you can drill down into a building view, and then you can drill down into a floor view. It's pretty cool to see. There are actually, from a wireless perspective, and this is really, really useful, there are planning tools that help you plan and develop your wireless infrastructure. Obviously the goal here, eliminate RF, bad designs, coverage problems, and so on. So the tools include site survey tools, RF reassessment tools, readiness evaluation tools, and so on. So there's an integrated planning tool that includes floor plans. You can create those floor plans in third-party tools like AutoCAD and so on. And then you can place your access points, or you can use it to generate proposals. We have hierarchical maps, like I said, where you have the site, and then you can drill down into the buildings, you can drill down into the floors, and then we also have voice readiness tools as well. All right. There is a client discovery component here as well. So you could do this in ICE, by the way, but it's also built into Prime infrastructure. Discovered clients can be searched. You can see MAC addresses, IP address, location, lots and lots of information actually. Status, VLAN, interface, protocol, etc. And then there's also a history. You can go back and see how often a client was connected to the wireless network and how much time they spent and what protocols they used and so on. Prime infrastructure also includes ICE integration. Obviously, makes sense, right? ICE will provide client type, policy visibility for wired and wireless clients, but Prime infrastructure is able to view the client's security information from that single console. So again, Prime infrastructure is not actually providing the security. ICE is what's providing the security, but Prime infrastructure is integrated into that platform. We get an alarm panel, right, where we can see alarms for the network. The port status changes might be identified, device resets, devices that are unreachable by the management station. These are just events. Mike had a question here. Are the maps from a few slides ago available in ICE? They are not. They are either available in MSE or they're available in Prime infrastructure. But ICE does not. ICE is not a wireless platform. It is. It's a security platform, right? So we don't have that kind of capability in ICE. But it does integrate with Prime infrastructure, and you can get that functionality from Prime infrastructure. Sorry, I missed that question from before. Yeah, you might be using Prime infrastructure, or you might be using MSE, the Mobility Services Engine. We'll talk about that platform a little bit later on. Okay. In addition, and it's most likely Prime infrastructure, by the way. In addition to all these other features that we talked about, we have this 360-degree view that we call. The purpose of this is to provide detailed information on the users, whether they're wired or wireless, right? The end user's network connection, their association, what AP, what controller, the authentication, the authorization that they use, what authentication type, what was the authorization policy that was applied to that user, any problems with the device associated with the user's network attachment. So if we're getting alarms for a controller or for an access point, and then also any kind of application related issue, like statistics for that particular user. It's just a quick snapshot, right, of the user's information. Now notice this particular user is tied to many different devices. It's got a Sony PS3, Apple iPad, a workstation, and there's a little button you can scroll back and forth between the devices. So all of the devices that are tied to this user, and when you highlight the device, you can see all the relevant information for that particular device, when it was connected, and all the details. Okay. The device 360-degree view provides detailed device information, which we talked about, right? Status, interface status, associated device information. We can actually see the 360-degree view from nearly any page where the device IP address is displayed, whether it's a router, a switch, a controller, an access point. It's going to provide information like the device name, the device location, the uptime, some of the other things we see on here, OS version, right? We see the OS here as iOS in this particular case. The CPU and memory utilization, interface status, number of active clients, and so on. Now, in this example, this is a view from a device perspective, not from a wireless client perspective, but you can see how the 360-degree view allows us to see a lot of different things. Remember, Prime infrastructure, as its name applies, Prime infrastructure supports everything in your infrastructure: routers, switches, wireless clients, access points, and controllers. Meraki support was added in Cisco Tech Pack 2.2, and it was just an update to Cisco Prime. So Prime Infrastructure 2.2 can now monitor all of your Meraki MR access points, the MX security appliances, the MS switches. There's an SNMP protocol that allows us to gather information about those devices from the actual cloud controller. And this is used for monitoring. It's used for inventory purposes. Prime also offers one-click links to manage and run other things like diagnostics on those Meraki devices. So we can see things like what you see on the diagram here, a device name, the reachability status, the IP address, the DNS name, device type. It's kind of hard to read on here, but you can see those fields. The MAC address, the client count, if that would apply only to, of course, the MR devices, but serial number, the mesh status, the network name, and so on. There is a device configuration component. The Meraki dashboard is really that point. You can't really do any configuration from Cisco Prime. It will include a link to the IP address, and then these links will launch a browser window that'll bring up the administrator right to get to the device dashboard, to get to the Meraki dashboard. All right. Now the other option that we have is our Meraki cloud-based management solution. Meraki cloud-based management provides, again, centralized visibility and control over Meraki's wired and wireless network hardware. We can do configuration, we can look at statistics, we can do monitoring, all kinds of different things from our Meraki devices. That would include access points, switches, security appliances, and so on. It's done over an HTTPS session using a web browser. The user data itself doesn't ever flow to the cloud. It flows directly to the destinations within the network. We're just simply managing everything through the cloud. Very scalable, very reliable, and I'm sure you can understand what the uses of this would be in an enterprise network. The Meraki cloud-based management interface is just a web-based management interface. You go to https://dashboard.meraki.com. Once you're logged in, you'll kind of just get an overview of the network. All right. From there, from that monitoring view, you can see a map of the clients per access point. You can see the total number of clients, the network usage over the last week, and so on. There is a side navigation bar depending on where you go. It's broken up into essentially 3 categories: monitor, configure, and organization. Monitor, as the name implies, you can view information, a network overview, a map, a floor plan. You can see your clients, event logs. You can look at what's happening with the radio frequency spectrum, and you can download various reports. Configure, that's where you set up your SSIDs, traffic shaping policies, firewall policies, network-wide settings, and so on. And then organization. Organization would include things like analytics, logs, administration information, license information, network creation, inventory, and asset management, and so on. All right. So let's just take a look at those 3 areas. Here's the monitor dashboard. If you're looking at access points, all the things that you would expect to be able to see, like the status of each AP. Then you can drill down to get detailed information about the individual clients, the traffic, channel utilization. You can look at connectivity to their gateway from the AP itself, usage and current number of clients that have connected. If you want to look at the client information, you can see descriptions of the clients, operating system, IP address, network policy. You can take a look at individual bandwidth usage for each of the clients. You can drill down even further to get information like what was the usage for the last 2 hours, for example, or what was the usage for the last month. And then you have a summary report. Just kind of your overall network utilization, the top APs, the top SSIDs, usage details of the top applications. Is it video? Is it social media? And then you can drill down into those categories as well. All right, this is just a summary of some of the things that you'd see there. There are many, many other things that you would see there, but just an idea of some of the things. It's a pretty intuitive interface and pretty easy to navigate. which is why Cisco acquired this company, because of that, that approach. All right. In the configure Meraki dashboard, up to 16 SSIDs. They can be configured for authentication. You can set up bandwidth policies per SSID. You can identify which radios they're going to use, what's the addressing. You can set up firewalls and traffic shaping rules. You can change your radio settings, like your channel planning, and map APs on a map to their channel, and configure things like channel power and so on. Again, just a summary of the things that you'd see, many, many other things that you can see on here. Under the organization, you get location analytics, proximity information, like the number of clients near your network, engagement, how long the clients have been accessing the network, or how long are the visits, the loyalty, the number of client visits themselves, licensing information, inventory information, all kinds of useful information in the Meraki application. There's actually a mobile application as well, basically extending that dashboard experience to your mobile device. It does have a couple of additional features. If you want to add a new access point, you can scan the barcode and add it to the network, and then the access point automatically connects to the cloud. It provisions itself and it becomes part of the network. Then it shows up as a list of, in the list of the APs. So the camera works, right? That's what we're using for the scanning feature. And then the GPS functionality works as well. So based on the location of where you scan the access point, it identifies the site that that access point belongs to. We've seen this used quite a bit, actually. So instead of IT administrators provisioning an AP, they have maybe a local administrator at a branch office that has this app. They ship out the access point and they say, when that access point comes, just go ahead and scan it, and then everything else happens automatically. It's pretty cool stuff. All right. No pre-provisioning necessary. So really, really basic lesson here. We just kind of talked about Cisco's unified access one management platform using Prime infrastructure. Took a quick overview of how Prime infrastructure is integrated, how it provides end-to-end lifecycle management, provides application visibility, and so on. All right. So we'll wrap up this lesson here. And in the next lesson, we're going to get into defining one policy. But we're not going to do that right now. We'll go ahead and take, well, it's only 10:10. Yeah, we'll go ahead and break right now, and then we'll get into this lesson in a little bit. All right?